Hello, Miodrag, and welcome to our data science conference here in Belgrade. It is truly a pleasure to have you here. So you worked in leadership positions for many years in trading and risk management, both on Wall Street and in London. So could you elaborate a bit more how important was efficient work with data for your success?
First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. I think this conference is a great success already, and I'm very happy to be part of it. Yes, I really did work for a long time in this financial industry in various capacities. I started basically being in the US as a physicist. I did my PhD in New York, and for different reasons, I ended up at the very beginning of this explosion in financial industry that combined mathematical modeling, derivatives, etc. Part of my job, my career progression went from being a head of quant team in these big banks like Chemical Bank, Chase Manhattan, and later on JP Morgan. And since it was 90s and development of this industry, I happened to develop quite a bit of this new stuff with my team, and the team was all PhDs in mathematics and physics globally. We had a team in New York, in London, and in Tokyo, and it brought the foundation really on this investment banking, trading, and risk modeling to what we have right now. So I was kind of fortunate in that way. Learned a lot, saw a lot, etc. Later on, I was in charge of convertible bond business for JP Morgan in Asia for a bit. Then worked in risk at one big hedge fund, and finally I traded some of these strategies that we kind of invented in London. I traded it as a portfolio manager for one big hedge fund, CQS. So I covered it, because it was a long period of time, I covered a lot. So the second part of your question about the data and its importance in financial industry and in modeling, it's base of everything you do, right? You need to, in every model you do, you need to do back testing. You need to understand whether it works properly, whether it obeys all of what we call non-arbitrage properties. So the financial mathematics were very kind of had a very good foundation, and improvements and mathematical models, computer science modeling, and all of that was very well done, simply because industry had a lot of money to pay for a lot of good people, and with that came success. So again, the data in every aspect of investment banking is very important. You need to convince people to use, traders to use those models in pricing, risk managers to manage the risk that way, and the clients at the end of the day to believe that the pricing and risk management of all these financial contracts is done properly.
And even though this all data is already being collected, sometimes there is a feeling that bankers still use and traders still use that gut feeling rather than the hard data they collected. So why do you think that is?
Well, the way I see it, there are two aspects of it. Traders are basically watching the markets continuously. They spend 8 hours and sometimes more in front of the screen looking at financial data. They sort of train their intuition on the market and act according to that intuition, right?
Yeah.
So, and they get paid for it, right? So in a way, like if we translate in mathematical terms, they are almost like solving some analog differential equation continuously, being calibrated on all market parameters and all the new information that comes in the market. And by building more experience in it, they become better. guys that are creating trading algorithms and guys that are trying to make risk management models, guys that are making trading models are guys that combine the market parameters into an efficient pricing system, right? And basically give traders a measuring stick with which they calibrate their intuition. So both of those things are important, right?
Yeah.
Then there are elaborate kind of neural network, adaptive filters, models of algorithmic trading that sometimes you lose, traders can lose the traction of how the computers learn the algorithm to trade. But their traders are still necessary in a big new information that comes into markets, which is outside of the data that models are trained on. You need that intervention, otherwise you lose money, and that happens kind of a lot.
And when it comes to our region and our financial institutions, what do you think can be done to improve the quality of data collection, processing, and data-driven decisions? Is it specialized education, training?
I think all of it. You need to basically show to people that collecting the right type of data, collecting data in principle and managing it properly is a huge value. Because with the data, they can create a model from, let's say credit assessment models, right? Without the data, proper statistics on it, transparency of this data, etc., it's very hard to ascertain credit, for instance, for the banks here. If they cannot ascertain credit, they cannot lend the money, which has a huge effect on the economy here. That's our bottleneck here in Serbia, for instance. Financing of small and middle-sized companies, simply banks don't have data in order to assess their creditworthiness, and then they are reluctant to lend. And that slows down the economic expansion. Otherwise, Serbia would be in much better position. So now that there is an awareness of that, you need to educate the upper management on the importance of it. You need to train data scientists, and part of it is what we do at this MCF program, with Masters in Computational Finance. We train people in modeling skill, in data acquisition skill, and in all of these areas which are important, so that there is a workforce that is a skilled one that can do those things. And then, they can show the benefits of collecting data and using it in proper way.
Thank you for the insight. And to end the interview, one quick question. What will be the main reason for you to return to the Cryptic event next year?
I think it's a fantastic event, actually. It really is. Why is that fantastic event? First, people talk on important subjects. They talked on blockchain, they talked on AI. All these new technologies of the future for the financial industry are presented here, and there are people that are already doing it. So there are business contacts, there are ideas generating contacts. Basically, conferences like this are so important in creating these centers of nucleation of new ideas, contacts for people which are necessary for the business environment to expand here. And I see basically all these new technologies in Serbia having a tremendous economic potential for the country. I would support it in any way I can.
Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for the interview and sharing your experience with us. I really do hope you enjoyed the rest of the event.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome to the Data Science Conference Europe 22. My name is Miodrag Janjusevic, and let's change the world through data.